has to connect.
And you'll still introduce, correct?
Of course. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of the She Is Me conference. We are so pleased to have Anna Thomas with us today talking about the age of caregiving. Anna, please take it.
Did you know that 63 million adults in the US have a second secret job? A job that doesn't come with a paycheck or a promotion. There's no PTO, no onboarding, no support, nobody handing you a roadmap. Anybody know what that secret job is? It's called caregiving. Life, it expects us to hold on to so much. Deadlines, family obligations, the bills. And then we get a little bit more, right? A diagnosis, a crisis, a caregiver role that you never planned for. And most people who are doing it are also working full time. They're leading teams, they're raising families, and they're doing their best to hold it all together. That is a story that 63 million Americans face today. And for many of you, it may be part of your life right now as well, caregiving. I remember the moment that I first stepped into that role. It was spring of 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. I was at work. I was reaching over to examine a patient when my phone started buzzing in my pocket over and over and over again. And when I finally get a moment to check, I see multiple missed calls from my dad and from my brother, and a text that simply says, "Call me now." My mom had been rushed to the hospital. We didn't know what was going on at that time. Because of COVID, we couldn't get in. No one was calling us back. And in that moment, I wasn't the doctor. I was the daughter. I became a caregiver. I went from leading medical teams to leading family group texts, from prescribing treatment plans to searching online for any hospital contact that might possibly call me back. And I felt hopeless and overwhelmed. And over the next few months, I tried to juggle it all, working full time, caring for my young daughter, coordinating my mom's care from a distance in the middle of a global health crisis. Now, I'm a physician. I know how the system works, but none of that training prepared me for the chaos, the fear, the emotional load. And suddenly, all the advice that I had been giving other people felt completely useless. But here's what I've learned since then. First of all, my story, it isn't unique. In fact, it's incredibly common. It's happening everywhere. Like I said earlier, more than 63 million adults in the US are caregivers today. That's over 1 in 4 adults. If there are 100 people watching this video right now, at least 25 of you are quietly doing what I described, and even more of you will. About 73% of adults will have some sort of caregiving responsibility at some point in their life, and more than half are working full-time while doing this. Every day they're coming home to a double or a triple shift the second they log in or walk in that door. Cooking, coordinating care, medications, insurance, appointments, emotional support, crisis management, all of it. And while caregiving is absolutely an act of love, it also comes with real challenges. Physical demands, emotional exhaustion, health complications, financial strain, social isolation. Caregivers have nearly double the rate of chronic health conditions compared to those who are not caregivers. And 30% of caregivers are providing intense care to somebody else while struggling with their own health. Many are forced to reduce hours, go to part-time, or leave the workforce altogether. In fact, 1 in 3 caregivers have left a job due to caregiving responsibilities. And for mid-career women especially, caregiving is one of the leading reasons they step away from the workforce, often without support, without recognition, without a clear plan to return. And unfortunately, this is not a temporary blip, it's a shift. We're not just in a season of caregiving, we are entering an era. Right now, we are living through the largest demographic shift in US history. So, over the next 5 years, we will see all 76 million baby boomers move into retirement. This is called the silver tsunami. But behind that wave is what I call the aftershock, the age of caregiving. See, over the next 25 years, as our seniors get older, their health needs and our nation's care needs will increase dramatically, and we're not ready for it. Former First Lady Rosalynn Carter said it best. She said, there are only four kinds of people in this world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be a caregiver, and those who will one day need a caregiver. That means this story includes every single one of us. Whether you're in this role right now or you will be soon, I want you to know this. Caregiving is not a detour. It's the road that we are all on. And if you've ever cared for a parent, a spouse, a grandparent, a child, a family member with serious illness, if you've ever asked yourself, am I doing enough? Or if you've ever said, I don't know if I can even keep doing this, then you're in the right place today. Because today we're going to move from survival to strategy and learn how to lead with strength and compassion in the age of caregiving. Here's what I need you to hear, and I really want it to land. You are more than just a caregiver. You are more than just a giver of care. Someone who gives and gives and gives. You are more than that. You are a leader of care. See, a giver of care reacts to needs, but a leader of care guides through them. A giver of care fills in the gaps, but a leader of care sees the whole map. A giver of care takes on tasks, but a leader of care makes decisions, sets priorities, and builds support. One drains you, the other empowers you. We've been trained by our culture, by workplaces, by family expectations to think of ourselves as women, as the one who has to give and give and give and give. But look at what you're actually doing. You're managing appointments, you're advocating in systems, you're coordinating schedules, you're solving problems under pressure, you're comforting others while still delivering results. And that is not background work. That is leadership. You're not just a caregiver. You are a care leader, someone who leads in the middle of complexity, in the quiet moments and the decisions that nobody else sees. And the sooner you name it, the sooner you can reclaim your power. The problem is that no one ever gave us a blueprint for what that looks like. I didn't get it in medical school. Maybe you didn't get it in your college or training. Definitely not in the workplace. So what do? We improvise. We overextend. We hope it's enough until something or someone breaks. But there is another way, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And I didn't come to this realization from theory. I came to it from the trenches. So I'm a palliative care physician. My work centers on helping people navigate serious illness, guiding families through the decisions that nobody ever wants to make, supporting caregivers when the weight feels unbearable. I thought that my background prepared me for anything, but when my mom got sick in the middle of the pandemic, I learned how different it feels when it is your family, when the other person on the other end of the phone is your parent, and when the system that you work in that is supposed to support you suddenly feels like a wall instead of a bridge. And that experience changed me. It forced me to see caregiving not just as a medical issue, but a crisis, one that is affecting families, communities, workplaces, our entire nation. And it became the foundation of what I do. So today I have the privilege of helping individuals and organizations make that same shift from reaction to leadership. Through my company, Life Care Leadership, I coach working professionals who are balancing work, life, and caregiving. And I also work with companies and leaders who want to create workplaces where caregivers can thrive. Because when people are supported in their personal lives, they'll also bring their best selves to their professional ones. Earlier this year, I shared this message on the TEDx stage in a talk titled How to Survive the Age of Caregiving and Why Leaders Must Care. In it, I introduced the CARE framework, a model for what organizations must do to support us, the hidden workforce of caregivers. And I invite you to watch it and then share it with your leaders and your HR teams so they can understand the impact that caregiving has and why supporting you is good business for them too. But while systems must change, so must we. Over the years, I've realized that surviving and thriving, it may look similar from the outside, but very different on the inside. And the difference isn't in our circumstances, it's how we lead ourselves through them. And leadership, especially in seasons of care, isn't about titles, it's about clarity, it's about decisions, choices, and courage. And that's why I developed something I call the Care Leader Blueprint, a simple framework to help you lead yourself through uncertainty and build a life that's both sustainable and strong. It's built on three anchors, three ways to lead and thrive in work and life and care. First, lead with intention, because leadership begins with intentional decisions, not living in overwhelm. Second is to lead with strategy, because vision without systems becomes stress, not success. And three, lead with impact, because impact multiplies with others, not alone. Now, we're not going to have time to explore every part of this blueprint. Each one has its own chapter to explore. But we will focus on a few key ideas that will help you stop surviving and start thriving again. And for those of you who are currently navigating caregiving right now, I do have a free resource to support you, my free Care Needs Analysis video training. It's a short step-by-step guide to help you figure out how much help you actually need, what kind of support to look for, and what it may cost. I'll share how you can access it at the end of the session. It's my gift to you because none of us should have to figure this out alone. So let's begin with the foundation of it all. Anchor one, lead with intention, because leadership begins with intentional decisions, not living in constant overwhelm. There are a number of decisions that you need to make as a care leader, but the first is this. You must decide to approach your care situation differently, not as a helper just trying to keep up, but as a leader who's going to guide what matters most. Let's unpack that for a second. See the circle? This circle represents you, your life, your energy, your capacity. Outside that circle are all of the roles, all of the hats, all the responsibilities that you have: caregiving, work, family, everything. Maybe you help with meals, bathing, personal care. Maybe you help with appointments or medications. If your loved one is facing cognitive decline, maybe you also handle finances or legal matters. And of course, for everything that I've listed here, you still have to manage all of those same things for yourself, right? Let's add some lines for that. Now, I wonder if any of you here watching, if you're also a parent. About 20 to 30% of caregivers are in what we call the sandwich generation. They're caring for aging parents and young children at the same time. And if you're a parent, you know that those same tasks apply here too. And here's a big one. Most of you watching, I'm sure, are also working professionals, full-time, part-time. More than half of all caregivers in the US are working full-time while caregiving part-time, or let's be honest, it's a full-time job. So what does this look like to you? Does it look like the sun? Hope so, because that's what I tried to make it look like. The sun is such a wonderful analogy for caregiving. You give warmth, light, energy to everyone around you. But I want you to think for a moment, what is happening at the center of the sun? It's burning. Constant heat, constant pressure. And what happens if you get too close to the sun? You get burned out. Is it any surprise that when you are overstretched in so many directions, that you feel burnt out? Of course not. You're burning at full capacity, and no one can do that forever. But remember, when the sun goes dark, everyone else loses its light too. And that's why the first intentional decisions that you must make is this: you can't keep burning. You have to start leading. So let's talk about what that actually means. John Maxwell says a leader is someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Now, you have probably seen an organizational chart before, maybe in your workplace. In an org chart, at the top sits the CEO. The CEO is the visionary, the one who sets the direction for the company. Right beneath them is the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. They're the one whose job is to turn that vision into reality. They have to manage priorities and ensure the team runs smoothly. And beneath them, there are all the different departments and teams, even below that. See, no one can run a company alone. They have to collaborate, they have to delegate, they have to build systems that sustain success. Now, let's apply that to caregiving. Your loved one is the CEO of their life. They hold the vision, they determine what the values are, what they want, what matters most for them. Your role, you're stepping into this role as the COO, the Chief Operating Officer for care. Your job is not to be the whole company. Your job is to lead the daily operations with clarity, build structure, build support. But if you're like most caregivers, you've been trying to be everything: the COO, HR, accounting, customer service, crisis manager, all rolled into one. That is not leadership. That is collapse in slow motion. That is burnout disguised as love. And it's time to step into the role that you hold, the COO of care, the one who builds systems, protects priorities, and ensures the vision gets carried out sustainably. Because leading well doesn't mean doing it all. It means knowing the difference between what is yours to carry and what needs to be shared. Every COO needs a team. Do you have one? Or are you still trying to be the whole company? If you're handling personal care and meals and meds and scheduling and finances and late night emotional triage, no wonder you're exhausted. You're running every department, every shift. So today, if you're deciding to think and act and lead like a care leader, then it is time to make an intentional choice to see yourself as more than just a giver of care, to see yourself as a leader of care. We must claim that title. Learn how to partner with the CEO. Protect your capacity. Guard your energy. Because if you burn out, you can't lead anything. And that brings us to our next anchor: lead with strategy. Because vision without systems becomes stress, not success. In our first anchor, we made an intentional decision that we were going to start seeing ourselves as the COO of care, not the entire company. And now that we've claimed that leadership role, it's time to build some systems, because leadership without structure eventually leads to burnout. So let's start with why systems matter. So, like I said before, I'm a physician. I often teach about the brain, usually about dementia and how it impacts it. But today, I want to teach you about what happens to your brain in times of crisis. This area here, that's labeled in purple, is the prefrontal cortex. It's right here, the front of your brain, behind your skin and skull, right here. This is the leadership part of your brain. It's responsible for decision making, problem solving, weighing options. It's the part of your brain that helps you lead. But during crisis, when your body floods with cortisol, that smart, strategic leadership part of your brain goes offline. And another part, the amygdala, takes over. The amygdala is like your brain's fire alarm. It is fast, it is loud, it's impossible to ignore. But it can only give you one of three options: fight, flight, or freeze. And that's a perfectly reasonable reaction if you are facing a bear, right? But when you're trying to navigate a hospitalization and juggle appointments and make major decisions about your loved one's care, you don't want to be fighting or fleeing or freezing. You need your leadership brain back online. And the way that you do that is through systems. Systems give your brain structure and safety. They help you know what matters most, what can wait, and what needs to be shared. They turn chaos into clarity. And that starts with awareness, understanding what is most important to the situation, to your loved one, and to you as the leader. And like I said before, I'm going to share with you the link to that care needs analysis video training, which will walk you through exactly how much help you need, what kind of support, what does it cost, how can I get it for free or covered by insurance. I'll share how to access that at the end of our session. Once you understand the care priorities, then you can start building systems to support them. This could be a medication system, a care binder for key information. It could be shared calendars or apps for scheduling. It could be simple tasks, check ins for members of your team. The more systems you build, the more control you reclaim, and the lower your stress levels will stay. Now, here is a simple tool, the 3 S's. Quick way to lead strategically when life feels chaotic. The first S, simplify. What doesn't truly matter? Second, systemize. Anything that is repeating, meds, meals, appointments, systemize it. And third is share. Share what somebody else can handle. Even just one round of this today can help reduce your mental load, bring your leadership brain back online. It's a type of system that you can use to help bring that prefrontal cortex back online. But leading with strategy isn't just about organizing your tasks, it's about protecting the care priorities, which includes protecting and prioritizing you as a care leader. One of the most important systems that you will ever build is the one that restores you, your time, your sleep, your health, your joy. These are leadership essentials. Protecting your capacity isn't selfish, it is strategic. It's how you keep your prefrontal cortex, your leadership brain, in control and prevent that amygdala from hijacking every crisis. Because systems aren't just about order, they're how leaders turn intention into impact. And when you put structure around what matters most, you're not just managing care, you're shaping the culture of care around you. So when you think about your own systems at work, at home, or in care, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do this week to make life calmer and care a little bit easier? And when you spend the time to do this, you are leading with strategy. You're prioritizing the care need situation for your care partner, but also for yourself. So, in our first anchor, we claimed that leadership identity. In this anchor, we understood the importance of prioritizing the task. But remember, you are more than just a giver of care, you are a leader of care. And leaders don't just do everything, leaders create systems, they define success, and they build teams and empower others to help carry the mission forward. Because no matter how organized your systems are, if you try to run every part alone, you will still burn out. And when you burn out, the systems burn with you. That is why our final anchor matters so much. Anchor 3 is lead with impact, because impact multiplies with others, not alone. We live in a world that celebrates grit and grind, right? From an early age, we've been taught to push through, to handle it, to do it all. And especially as women, many of us grew up believing that asking for help means we are falling short, that real strength means doing everything ourselves. Have you ever felt that? Do you remember the first time that belief came in? Let me take you back in time for a moment. When I was a kid, my brother and I used to walk to the bus stop together. My brother, he's a little bit older, about a year and a half older. He has a carefree personality, has hands in his pockets, kicking pebbles along the way as he's walking to the bus stop. Whereas I, even in kindergarten, I was the super responsible one. watching the time. Are we going to be late? Is the bus coming late? Are the other kids going to be late? So that was me in kindergarten. And one morning, he had already gone to the bus stop. I was leaving behind him, and I see this backpack by the door. His beat up Ninja Turtle backpack slouched against the wall. Probably had, leftovers from yesterday. He probably hadn't even taken it out. Maybe some crumpled worksheet, a pencil at the bottom of the bag. And I remember looking down at it, and I glanced at my own pink sparkly bag, with sequins. And I looked back down at his, and I knew he needed it. I knew he needed whatever was in that bag for that day at school. So I picked it up. I slipped it on my shoulder, and I walked out that door. We get to the bus stop, which is, about a block down from our house. And he arrives at the bus stop, and he finally realizes that he's forgotten it, right? He's like, oh, where's my backpack? He spins around. He's ready to run back home. And then he sees me walking behind him, carrying my backpack and his. And at that time, and it felt like nothing to just pick it up. It's just something I did because I could, because he needed to. In fact, it felt good to do that. But looking back, that moment, it shaped me. It was the beginning of how I saw myself, the one who noticed what others forgot, the one who picked it up, who handled it, who pushed through. I didn't just carry the backpacks. I carried the belief that it was my job to hold it all. Have you ever felt that way? That it's easier to just do it yourself than explain what you need. Easier to keep going than ask for help. Do you feel like you're carrying all the backpacks all the time? That mindset became my normal. Push through, be strong, persevere, hold all the backpacks, don't drop a single one. Persevere alone. But that is not strength, at least not the kind that lasts. Fast forward to 2020. You already know that year was a storm. Working in healthcare during a pandemic, my mom being hospitalized, delirious, a seizure, no clear answers, and then this text, call me now. My instinct was the same as always. Go and pick up that backpack, fix it, pick it up. But this time was different. Borders were closed. I'm an essential worker. I have a 3-year-old at home. For the first time, I couldn't pick it up. And the guilt was crushing. I couldn't do all the things that I wanted to do. And I had to learn, maybe for the first time, to let someone else carry the weight. And do you know who did? My brother. He picked it up. He was there. He carried the backpack this time. And knowing that he could and that he was there made all the difference. Because being a care leader doesn't mean doing it all yourself. It means knowing when to let others lead with you, knowing when it's okay to put down some of those backpacks. It means impact that multiplies, not isolates. Remember that org chart that we talked about earlier? Your loved one is the CEO, and you're the COO. And you might have thought, that's nice. I don't have anyone to fill those boxes. You might. They just might not look like a corporate team. Maybe it's a sibling who can handle the bills, even from afar. Maybe it's a neighbor who can check in weekly, a friend who can bring over dinner once a month, a coworker who could swap a shift every once in a while. Or it could be a social worker, a nurse, a faith leader, someone who can help you in some way. When you invite others into these roles, even in small ways, you are building your care team. You are expanding your impact. And here's the key. When you start promoting people onto that team, you want to start asking some questions. Are they capable? Are they available? And are they willing? And if the answer is yes, then you can have them take that next step. You can have them identify a specific task that you can ask them to do. Not, can you help me sometime? No, no, no. You want to be really specific. Can you pick up mom's prescriptions on Tuesday? That level of specificity can help you create confidence for you and for them. Because leadership isn't about doing everything. It's about delegating with purpose. And when you promote others into clear roles, you're not burdening them, you're empowering them. Because leadership in caregiving, just like leadership anywhere, isn't about how much you can carry. It's about how well you empower others to carry with you. So here's a final invitation. Lead with impact by leading together. Because when you stop carrying everything alone, your impact doesn't shrink, it spreads. That is how we move from surviving to thriving. That is how we build a world that is sustainable. And remember, you are more than just a giver of care, you are a leader of care. Let that guidance, let this phrasing stay with you every day. I am more than just a giver of care, I am a leader of care. Now, as we close today, I have 2 resources that I want to share with you. The first is my new book, released in the past week, From Caregiver to Care Leader. It's available on Amazon, paperback, hardcover, Kindle store, just for $1. When you read this book, you discover the strategies, the tools, and the resources that you need to step into leadership so that you can stop living in overwhelm as a caregiver and start leading your care situation with strategy and intention and impact. And the second resource that I mentioned before is that free care needs analysis training. It's a 4-part free video training, helps you understand your care situation objectively. One of the most common questions that my coaching clients ask me is, how much help do I actually need? How many hours of help? Where do I look for it? This training answers all of those questions. It starts with a care needs assessment based on where your loved one is right now, what they're able to do, and how to calculate how many hours of help, what type of help, where do we find it, what's covered by insurance, how do we access these services. You can get it at lifecareleadership.com/care needs. You're going to get a lot of benefit from this training, just from the clarity that it provides, and is my free gift for you today. And as we close, I want to share the same message that I've been saying all day today. You are more than just a giver of care. You are a care leader. And when you lead with intention, with strategy, and with impact, you won't just survive, you'll thrive and you'll lead, not only in care, but in all areas of your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That was lovely. And I actually have never heard your approach to think of it as being a leader and take just just your whole vision and your whole way of presenting this just really took the pressure out of it. I know I'm a senior caregiver as well, and sometimes it just seems like such a burden and such a, it's so overwhelming. And um, I love looking at it through your lens and your process. I think that is fabulous. Thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, I think it's going to help a lot of people. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the first one today. I know it's early, but I appreciate it, and I can't wait to share this with more people. Stay tuned. We're going to be back with Kamiko Hart. Thank you so much.